This it's more of a chat than it is a lecture, is all about your teaching skills and the practicals that you guys will be doing for first one's next week and the next one after that. So I'm going to firstly get into the practical side of what is expected of the video, because I think that's really what we need to know is what's needed of me, get really clear on it so that we can be really effective in our teaching videos. And then also I'm going to chat a bit about some of the teaching skills that we'll be looking at and working on. And then also, I think Catherine only assigned it for next week, but there's 3 videos on the online portal that Catherine has made with regards to yoga teaching. Has anyone watched them? They're 3 short videos. Did you guys all watch them? Okay, cool.
No.
All right, wait, just put your hand up if you have. Okay, so most of you have. Okay, I did look on the calendar and then it looked like it was next week and then not. And then that's fine. So if you haven't, it's not a problem. I'd recommend watching them before you do your video, because we're going to touch on a couple of the aspects in the session today, but a lot more will be almost amplified by what Catherine says for it. Okay. So essentially what we are going to be doing for your teaching skills is you guys have all been allocated a sequence. You guys have all got your sequences. You've been told which sequence you're doing. You've either got a warrior 3 forward fold, back bend for mermaid, or you've got crow pose for arm balances. All right, no one's uncertain about which sequence they have. Cool. When you print out your sequence, you'll see it's a nice Word document. It's very clear. It even shows you the transitions. There's a little section and then it says start teaching here, and then it carries on and then it says finish teaching here or ends here. So you teach that section. It's not the whole class. It's almost a section of it. And it will be beginner and intermediate section falls in there. You'll teach both of them as they move on through the class. So it works not consecutively. It works within the flow, if that makes sense. So you'll do the warm up, you'll do the flow, beginner section, intermediate section. It'll get to the peak pose and then you'll stop your video. All right, so that's just to show you the section of the class. Because each of you have different classes or different sequences that you will be teaching, if there's anything that you are uncertain about with regards to the specific transition or the specific flow, also on the portal, Laura has about a 10-minute video where she is doing the sequence. So for example, if you are uncertain, I think one of the tricky ones is those who are teaching the moon salutation. There's like a pivot curtsy squat, or there's even in every single pose, every single sequence, there's almost one thing that's a little bit tricky or a little bit creative. You can go back to that video and just watch her flow through it, just so that you know what to explain. All right, I've seen that can sometimes be confusing, but the rest is quite to the point. So you'll see it's demarcated into paragraphs. So if it says repeat on the left side, you repeat that sequence on the left side. So we're always going to do left, right, or sorry, right, left, right, left. All right. Has anyone looked over the sequences and might be slightly concerned by something, might be confused? We're all good with our sequences. Okay, cool. So what is expected of the video is you are now going to teach this sequence. Yeah. Sorry, yes?
Just regarding the teaching, do we teach it as it states, or do we put our own cues in, or do we just teach a sequence?
So the actual wording itself is only teaching the cues. Right leg up, step to the top of your mat, warrior 2. But you might need to get your student into warrior 2, if that makes sense. So you might have to add a cue that says ground your back heel, bring your arms out to your side. So I would like to see you add in a little bit more cues, so that we can see that you understand the pose. Maybe you notice something in your student to say, no, arms straight, or no, arms out to the side. So you'll see that the sequence is almost like what you guys would do when you write out a sequence. I know what pose is coming, but I want to see you get them into that pose. So for example, when you are cueing them, let's say, for example, your sequence would say step to the top of the mat, high lunge. Your cues might say step to the top of the mat, reach your arms up, high lunge, sink down nice and low into your knee. Open up, warrior 2, arms extend to the side. So you are adding in the fluff, if I can say that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, can I ask? We need to get a person and video that person that we're teaching? Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, so I would really recommend having a student there to teach. In the previous ones, we used to say you didn't have to, or you did, but I've noticed it really makes a difference if there is someone to teach, because then we also get a good idea of what you're going to be like when there's actual people, right? If you've ever tried teaching in your imagination, it's really quite tricky, because then you end up just reciting a speech. If it is possible for you to get a person, it doesn't have to be a yoga practitioner. It doesn't have to be someone who knows yoga, because you are going to practice it a couple of times, that as you get to know the sequence, they will also get to know it. All right. So if you have family or friends who maybe know a bit of yoga, but they might not be as far in their practice, that's okay. I'm not looking at them. I don't need to see whether they can do a pose or not. I want to see that you can teach students. Because I think an important thing is that a lot of times you will get beginners in your classes who know nothing, right? So if you can practice that and work with them, that's also going to be a nice thing to have. If it's absolutely impossible, no one can come, scheduling is an absolute nightmare, it's just not going to happen, just send me a WhatsApp and let me know. I would just like to see, Catherine and I decided that it would be preferable, but if it's impossible, I want to still see you teach. Okay, so it can be one person, it can be a group of people, that's not an issue at all, as long as someone is there to be taught. All right, if that makes sense. Cool. So I'm going to go through a couple of the teaching, Hader, I got it right.
Yeah, you did. So are we supposed to bring that person to the, on the day and teach like live, like now, or are we videoing the sequence and giving you the video?
Okay. I'm going to explain the whole technical side of it, because I think a lot of the questions are going to come up. I should just give you all the information.
Okay.
And not questions.
Awesome, thank you.
What you're going to do is record a video for me, and you're going to send the video recording to me, which means you get to do it in your own time. It's due for the week of the, so Catherine says it's due next week. So I've set a deadline at Friday at 5 p.m. is when I would like to see it. So remember that when you send me the video, I need to watch.
Is it next Friday, so the 9th?
Sorry? The 9th, yeah. Yeah. So let's try and aim for Friday the 9th at 5 p.m. The reason being is you've got a whole weekend of lectures. You're not going to do it on Saturday or Sunday, right? So, and don't try, I know this is really hard, but try and not leave it for the last minute, because when you are sending me your video, if there's a technical issue and then someone's messaging me at midnight, I'm not going to respond to you. All right. Like I would love to, but I'm not going to. So if you do get it done early in the week and you send it on Wednesday or Thursday, that's completely fine as well. Okay. So essentially how it's going to work is you've got your sequence. I want you to memorize it. That's the hardest part of it. The reason why I don't want cue cards or to have your notes is because you tend to rely on it more than what you need it. So essentially, in order to help with memorizing, you just need to say it over again and again and again and again. When you start teaching it, even if you're practicing it in your own time, like if you're going to work, saying out the sequence in your mind or saying it out in your car is going to help you to really let that sink in. I've noticed when you have the notes there, you tend to look at them way more than not. That being said, if you're teaching your video and you stumble and you go, ooh, then, and you look, it's okay for your first video, but I essentially want to not have them at all. All right, if that makes sense. Yes, Marlene.
Is the first teaching practical not due on the 11th?
Let me open my calendar here.
It's the 11th. Like,
where did you see that? Mine says week's homework, first teaching practical due.
yeah, did something change? Does anyone else have the 11th? Because I see the 11th.
Where do you see the 11th?
So, well, obviously on the schedule, 11 October Sunday, first teaching practical due 11 October.
Yeah,
11
mine is that too.
Karen.
Well, maybe you guys have a different schedule than me. If all of yours say 11, that will be fine. I probably have an old version. So does it say there on the 11th first practical due?
Yes, on the overview document as well.
Yeah, I think you guys just have you probably just have a newer schedule than me. The overview, not on the timetable.
It's on by
Well, it's 11th.
I'm checking the timetable and it says the 11th.
Okay. Sorry, guys, you guys are right. My timetable doesn't say anything, so I guessed 11 October, 5 p.m. So the Sunday at 5 p.m. All right. But that being said, if you do, oh, sorry, it's Sunday, October, 5 p.m. I'm going to send it to you guys in an email so we agree, Sunday the 11th. But also bear in mind that you do have, I know you got pose reviews and you guys are getting different slots and stuff, but if you do have a gap before then, I think it's really useful. I know with some of the other groups, we had someone 10 o'clock at night trying to scramble and send the video and there were issues. And then what that does is it just creates a delay because I need to watch all 19, mark them and give you feedback. And then I still want to give you enough time to do the second round of video. All right. So the technical aspects, this is kind of the hardest thing to really wrap your head around. So I'm just going to break this chat down into two different sections. The one is what I expect to see in the video, and the second is the actual technical side of sending me the video, because they will be quite big and there's a couple of things that have gone wrong before. So in your video, I want the sequence memorized, and obviously the video needs to be set up in a way that I can see you. The reason why I want to see you is so I can see how you're interacting with your student. I can, if the student's not in the screen, it's not the end of the world, depending on the space that you have, but it's ideal if you can get both in, right? Then I can see if the student is maybe, not following the pose right or not getting the sequence. Can you see that? Give them the necessary cue and help them into the pose. Essentially, I'm looking at your teaching ability. All right, not necessarily their yoga ability, but your ability to help them. So the best way to do that is to set up their mat long ways and to set up your mat in front of them. All right, when you're in front of them, it means they can see you. It means you have a good view. If they're doing something from the side, you can move to one side, move to the other side, but it gives you enough space that they can always keep their eyes on you. All right, just quickly, a hand from Dasha.
Yes, Darren, I want to ask you, the sequence, do we find it in our manual or are you still sending it to us?
Catherine sent them quite a while back. Have a look in your inbox. It was sequence allocations.
I mean, I know the allocation, but the actual sequence, did you send that as well?
It's in the overview. The overview.
Is it in the overview? Okay, thank you.
Cool. So that's where, so then you just put the two together. That's my sequence and that's where I go. There wasn't another handout there. Okay, cool. All right, so now you've got your video, you've got your friend. Sorry, I've now disappeared, you guys. Just let me see you guys all again. Where are you? Okay, so you've got your friend in the screen, they've got you in the screen, you teach your sequence. Now, the things I want to see in the sequence is that obviously, or the video rather, is that you know and understand the sequence to the best of your ability at that time. All right. And for those who have watched the video, the videos of Catherine, you'll see that quite a couple of times she spoke about not relying on demonstration. So when we look at your teaching skills, I want to see that you can teach quite well with your verbal cues, and that your instructions are clear and direct enough that the student can follow that without having to look up and rely on the demonstration. There's a couple of reasons why we want that, is because if your cues are clear and precise and really direct that your students can follow it, it's going to be much easier for you to walk around, observe your students, make sure, like notice if there's anything that you need to adjust, especially because yoga poses are putting us in all crazy positions. If you're demoing, there's a good chance you can't see your students. It's a good chance you're not observing them. So as soon as we get into that habit of relying only on our cues, the better. That being said, I know in our video I had to demo every now and then. So for example, okay, that was online, so that was also quite tricky. But the only cases where I will allow demoing is, for example, if you are at the top of your mat and you say, inhale, arms up, exhale, warrior two, right? I'm not relying on getting into the full pose. I'm using my arms. I might do eagle pose. I might do this. So hands can be used kind of as a gesture in order to fully explain a bit further what you might want to showcase to the students. All right, so hand variations are fine. Generally, you will find that when you are teaching, you're standing at the top of your mat and you're going to feel a little bit awkward. I'll tell you that now. Don't worry, it's fine. We tend to use demoing as a crutch because we feel like we should be doing something. But essentially, if you're standing at the top of the mat, a nice trick is to just hold your hands behind your back to teach and watch them to the sequence, and then use your hands if you feel they're necessary, okay? The second time is if I cue warrior 2 and I see my student is not getting it, and I say, okay, drop your back heel down, bend into your front knee, and they're still not getting it, then you can say, okay, cool, sit up like this. Then you move to mirror them and you show them the demo so that they can have a visual cue, all right? So the times in your sequences where that might work is, for example, if you are doing your peak pose. So for example, when you're teaching Bakasana, for those who have crow pose as your peak pose, if you are teaching your student to get into it, there's quite a lot of cues that you need to get there that they might not be able to grasp. So your first time around, you might cue and demo. Second time, just let them do it, all right? Another part, for example, is for those who have the moon salutations in your sequence. You guys move through like a goddess and you want to show them what to do with their hands. You can use that in, if that makes sense. So it really depends on your student. If you are working with someone who knows yoga, they understand the poses, and you say extended side angle, they get it, no problem. That's where it becomes a bit tricky, because if you have someone new, you might want to spend a little bit of time with them pre-recording just to let them also become familiar with the sequence. So unfortunately, there might be a little bit of homework for your student too, but you'll find because we're doing 2 rounds of video, your student will also get the hang of it, okay? And then the third time that I only want to see demonstration is if it's not your first language in English and you're really struggling to get the cue across, all right? Most of us are okay here, but if you get stuck, for those who speak other languages and you don't quite know how to use it in English words, then use your demo, get them into eagle arms. That's completely fine. But ideally, because a lot of the times when I see the first video, there's still a lot of demoing. I want to see if you can do it with almost no demoing, all right? It's hard, but I can promise you now it's a super incredible skill, because it's going to make you become clearer and way more direct in your instructions. Okay, do we think we can do that? Yeah, we'll try it out and let me know. Okay, the reason why we have a first video and a second one is because no one's going to be a professional and perfect on their first time. It's okay. If you know, the reason that we say teaching skills is because there's a lot that comes into account, right? There's observation of your student. I want to see that you can move through the flow of the sequence and obviously remember your sequence, because it's a big thing for teachers to, you know, you plan a sequence and then you have to remember it, and it gets easier, but generally when you're starting, the actual remembering of the sequence is quite hard, which is why we sometimes forget something on one side or we miss it out. And if you've noticed after your recording that you forgot it, it's fine. I understand, we're all human. And then we have a bit of a feedback session. I'll send you some tips, and then you get the chance to do it the second time. When you go out and you qualify and you actually start teaching, that's when you actually start practicing your teaching, when there's actually students there, all right? This is just a way that we can see that you're starting to put your skills together and be able to lead a group. Okay, so that's with regards to the actual teaching and the demonstration. When it comes to our cues, obviously we want to be as direct and clear as possible. So because it's a video, I might need you to project quite a bit, so just so that I can physically hear you, especially if you're distancing yourself, and kind of using a nice, clear, direct tone of voice. So Catherine speaks about that a lot in the videos. It's about being really clear. Step to the top of your mat, inhale, arms up, high lunge. Open up your arms, warrior 2. So it's giving you the directness of it, but I'm still showcasing that I understand the pose by adding in some alignment cues or some things that I see the student may need to do. Okay. All together at this point. I know it seems daunting, but you guys will start teaching and you'll see it gets there, I promise. The more you practice, the merrier. So, okay, so we've recorded our video. We have taught our students. You will see that the sequence doesn't call for the use of props. If you have props and your student needs props, let them use them. Okay, it also shows us that you understand where props may need to be used, but they're not needed. It's just, I've seen before if someone is used to using it but don't feel you need to. I'm just saying it can and it is allowed to be used. All right.
Do we teach props?
Sorry?
Do we teach the props in the...
No, so I'm saying, let's say for example,
Or do we just cue you can use props here? And then
yeah,
move
you
on?
can. Yeah, so what I've seen, just to give you guys a bit of, I've got the question before from our previous group. Let's say, for example, you have someone with quite tight hamstrings, and now you are working into, you're doing a triangle with them, and you know that they might need a prop. Then if you have them nearby, you can say, oh, you might, you might need a block for this one. Chances are if you kind of make them feel comfortable using a block in the first video, by the second time it will become a bit more naturally. So you don't have to incorporate it into your teaching and say, today we're going to do teaching with the block. But for those who have mermaid pose, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with mermaid pose. It's the pigeon. Some people won't get into the pose unless they've supported that bottom hip, all right? If you don't have props, you obviously won't use them, but feel free, if you see your student needs it, have it then. You can even say, here's a block if you need it. You can use it under your hip or whatever. Okay, because that's also something to get used to is, understanding the use of the props, because when you move into teaching, it is going to be something that becomes not so much a norm, but you will have a lot of students that will need props. Okay. I'm just going to open up the email I sent Catherine here and make sure I didn't forget anything with regards to the teaching. Okay, cool. So another thing is the position of you as a teacher. I found that what comes across probably the most professionally, and also something that you will find you do the most in class, is to remain standing. You guys will find you're going to repeat this sequence. You're going to practice it so many times that for you, it might become a little bit boring and tedious. And that's okay. If you feel like that, that's normal. So when you start teaching it, sometimes we start to get a little bit relaxed. We like sit on the floor and we say, inhale, arms up. And because we're super relaxed with it, but I want to almost have a simulation of what you'll be like in a class. So even though you might feel a bit more comfortable sitting down in a class, it's very unlikely that you'll sit. So rather stand at the top of the mat and just be there, and I can see that you're fully engaged with them and that everything is perfect. Okay. All right, that's everything with regards to the actual teaching video. Okay. So now you've taken your video, you've got that sequence should take you maximum 30 minutes. If you're someone who naturally teaches slow, don't send me a 55-minute video. Keep your watch. When you run out of time, that should be your indicator that maybe, I want to say maybe you're teaching too slow for this sequence, right? That's quite a hard thing to grasp, because when you guys leave here and you start teaching, you are going to find your own teaching pace and your own teaching style, and you will obviously create sequences that adapt to that timing. Because this one is taught at a vinyasa styled pace, it means it kind of keeps flowing. You've got some time to breathe in the poses, but if you naturally move at a slower pace like we did tonight, you'll find your video will be like 50 minutes, all right? So for the case of this, I want you to work with your pace. A nice way to practice that is to do a voice recorder and see how long it takes you, as a practice round, and to just get used to that timing of the instructions. And then what will happen is you'll start to find that when you've got that pace, it becomes a bit easier to get through the cues. I've also noticed that if you get used, it's not teaching fast, but it's always easier to teach slower. You can always slow things down. Sometimes when you teach slow and you try to speed it up, then we can fumble on our words and stuff. So it's the whole style for this one being vinyasa is to keep the class moving and to get that rhythm of the flow. So ideally 30-minute video that you should be sending to me. And obviously I'd love to see you guys get them into the peak pose, what we're working towards. Okay, so now we've got this video. We've got to get to the technical side of it. For those who are maybe not as tech savvy, that's totally okay. This is your time to shine. We're going to learn a lot together from this. There's a couple of steps that are required in order to get the video to me, because we're going to have a couple of little bumps in the road. So from previous experience, I've seen that people who, sorry guys, my door is rattling. Just give me a second to lock it. All right. So, yes. Okay. So technical side of things. When you are recording off your phone, I think that's the one that we tend to gravitate towards more quickly. Our phones naturally take really high quality, especially if you've got a newer smartphone. So it doesn't have to be 1080 HD video. So what happens is that obviously the higher resolution you take it at, the file becomes gigantic. And then it becomes almost impossible to send, and you're going to create more issues for yourself. So it works really well to record off either your phone. You can go into your settings and don't drop the resolution past like 720, just so that I can still watch it, if that makes sense, but you can drop it down slightly. And then also you can record off Zoom. So you guys can just open up your own little meeting, click record to your computer. When you are doing that, you might have to speak a bit louder because the sound isn't that good, but know that your laptop is an option to record off, okay? I've had issues where people with iPhones ran out of space. So they record their video, they're teaching, and they realize they only recorded 9 minutes. Then they go, start from there, and then she ended up having 10 different videos, and she tried to merge them into one, and she's caused just so much more anxiety than it needed to be, all right? So check that there's space on your phone, and even if you can set it up on like a selfie camera, so if it goes dead, you can see it and you don't waste your time going back and back and back. So that's just with regards to the actual filming of the video. Now, what happens is when we do record this video, it is going to be a big file, which means it's going to be challenging for you guys to send it to us. So what we've tried to enforce is that everyone compresses their video. I'm going to show you guys how to do it now. So what that does is it doesn't crop the video shorter. It doesn't take away the resolution. It just makes it into a smaller size so that you guys can send it to me via what we've seen works best is Google Drive. Okay. So are we all with us here? You have a video. It's either on your, well, bring it onto your computer because I'm going to show you guys how to compress it. Okay, we're with us now. Online yoga has, or online full stop, has taught yoga teachers a lot of things. Okay, so you're going to download this app called Handbrake. So HANDBRAKE. I think Catherine would have mentioned it to you in your briefing pack as well. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Working. Okay, it's just opening. It's a little picture of a cocktail and a pineapple. So you have to go onto handbrake.com and download it from there. I have a Mac, and I downloaded for that, and I haven't had any issues. It is just off the website, but in all 4 trainings, I've never had anyone who's had an issue with downloading it. Now it just disappeared. Where did it go? Got to open it again. Okay, so it's a little, you can just download the app. It's not very big. I just have to quickly install it, not install it. It just needs to open up on my laptop. Okay, there we go. Right. Yes, thanks, Stefan. That's amazing if you guys already have it. Okay, so when you open your Handbrake, it's going to look like this. Can everyone see that? I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to show you the steps. If you want to write this down, please do. It's going to make your life easier. So open Handbrake. What you're going to do from there is you're going to click open source. And I'm going to select a video. I don't think I even have any videos on here. Okay, here's a video of Catherine. Let's say I want to compress this video. You're going to open it up, and what it's going to do over here is it's just going to show you the image, and here it's going to give us settings on the left. So what I've found works really well is on the left here to click web optimized, but you see at the top there, it still says 1080. So for 80% of people, it has been sufficient enough to just click web optimized. But I essentially want you to send me a video that is ideally under 500 megabytes. Because if it's a gigabyte, it's going to take long for you to upload. And then I need to also watch it on my side. And if I have to download 19 videos at a gigabyte, it's crazy. So format, underneath that, click web optimized. And then under preset, you see it says fast 1080. You can go into I mean, I'm not super technical and crazy about it, but all I would do is go into Web, Vimeo, and just bring it down to, for example, like 720 to 30. I don't necessarily need it to be high quality, so 720 is often sufficient. You'll also see here that if you do just to general, you see I was fast 1080, I can just go fast 720. This is probably going to be the easiest because you see that highlighted one is what it is. Just drop it one down. All right. I must make sure web optimize is clicked. And then all I'm going to do is click start. When I do that, it's going to give me a little thing at the bottom. It doesn't go this fast. It will take way longer. This video of Catherine's only like 30 seconds long. And then you'll see at the bottom here, it's saving it to my movies. All right, so it's going to export it as a smaller file. Just check the size of your file afterwards, but generally it should be quite small enough. And then you'll take this video, you'll upload it to your Google Drive, and you'll just say share. You'll type in my email, which you guys got from today, taranjames11@gmail.com, and you'll share it with me. What's really great about Google Drive is I can watch it on Google Drive. I don't have to download it. If you have an issue with Google Drive, let me know. We can make another plan with you uploading it to YouTube. You can send it via Dropbox. We'll make a plan, but I found Google Drive has worked the easiest. So I'm just going to advocate for that one way, and we're all the same. Are we all with us at this point? Okay. Now in every single training, and I hope it happens to none of you, like I really like don't wish this on anyone, but you might have an issue where something ridiculous goes wrong technology, and sometimes I just don't know. So if you have any issues, just send me a WhatsApp and say, Taryn, I'm having a problem. Preferably don't all WhatsApp me at the same time. And actually sometimes we all have the same problems, and then I'll just send you guys a message on the group. But if you follow those steps, it should be fine. If you record once on your phone and you see it doesn't work, try another option. Don't keep using your phone, because I promise it'll give you the same issues every time. I found people with Samsungs have been okay. For some reason, I think it's just the iPhone memory size that tends to be quite small. Okay, right. Step 2's phase, done. We've got our compressed video. We've uploaded it, send it to me. All right. Then what I want you to do for the first round, I want you to watch your video. All right. This is something new we've implemented. It works like an absolute charm. And if you feel a bit odd listening to your voice or watching it, you're going to get over that very quickly. And the reason being is because we want to see if you can notice whether there's something you need to work on. So if you watch your video and you say, oh, I keep confusing my lefts and rights, or I felt like I was maybe giving too many cues, or I felt I was talking too softly, or I felt I was demoing too much, maybe you pick up one or two things, maybe you don't. If you don't, that's fine. It's also really hard to notice what you might not be doing like in a certain way if you don't know. So there's no expectation for you to pick up on things, but maybe you do. Sometimes teachers have incredible realizations where they say, oh, I didn't even notice my student was so tired and I didn't give them a rest in child's pose. So little things like that, if you can get the opportunity to reflect on yourself as a teacher, it's a really great skill to have, because I don't think I've ever had a perfect class. And after every class, it's so nice to have a reflection session where you say, oh, this didn't work. Why didn't it work? What can I do? Was it my cues? Was it them not understanding? Should I change the setup? What should I do? And it's only going to help you be a better teacher. So if we can start that journey now, that would be great. If you do get the chance to watch the whole thing, that's perfect. But generally watching 60% of it, you can even watch it while you're learning something else. That's perfect. Okay, so you'll just send it to me by Google Drive, pop me an email and say, I watched my video, I think I did amazingly, I'm the best teacher that will ever qualify from Wellness Connection. You can send it through to me, and then I'll respond, haha, that's awesome, and then I will let you know. Okay, but you are welcome to also reflect on what you think you did really well. We're not only focusing on the negatives. I was really proud that I memorized my sequence. I think I need to just observe my students a bit more, quick, short little thing, nothing major. And then what I will do is I'll watch your video. I'll send you an email and say, you're right, you are the most amazing teacher that has ever qualified from Wellness Connection. And then I might give you 1 or 2 pointers to work on. some things that I'll be, like I mentioned, just to give you guys a recap, I think expectation is really quite nice to know what I'll be looking at. It will essentially be knowing your sequence, how you give clear instructions and whether you can see your student is following it. I will also look at whether you're demonstrating or not, and whether you're demonstrating too much. I will look at your timing and your pace, and just that the class is flowing. That's really dependent, so there's no right or wrong way. It's whether the class just looks like it's got a good flow. And then I'll also listen to things like tone of voice. Sometimes, for those who watch Catherine's video, she spoke about it. We sometimes get what we call like a yoga teacher's voice, which is not always a bad thing, but I think we need to be aware whether we do it or not. So this is my normal teaching voice, and I might say, okay guys, welcome to this evening's yoga class. And that's fine. If that's you, just be you. I want to see authentic you, that's fine. But we need to be aware of it. Things like tone of voice. So inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. We tend to sing a bit. If it happens to you, it happens a lot. Don't worry, these are normal things. But we then notice and we go, oh, okay. Does it sound right? Do my students feel okay with it? So noticing that tone of voice and just being able to kind of hold the crowd, right? So there is a kind of confidence that's needed in order. If my teacher in Pretoria taught me, if you feel nervousness is not normal. If you are not in control, your students will feel like you're not in control. And that's a hard thing. So if you're clear and direct and you know what you want them to do, they will follow. They're there to be guided by you. Okay. And then essentially I'll also look at just how you teach. Are you interacting with your students? Are you observing them? If they look like they're going to pass out, did you give them a child's pose? Please incorporate your own little rests where you see fit. And little things like cueing the breath. The breath is not in there, but you guys will know, inhale, arms up, exhale, fold forward. You don't have to cue the breath every single time you cue a pose, but you'll notice it'll naturally weave its way in. If you are using the breath, then you'll just go with your traditional, it's kind of like unwritten rules, when to inhale and when to exhale. Generally, it's inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Inhale, cow, exhale, cat. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch, knee to nose. So your inhales are usually your lengthening, opening. Exhales are usually crunching, rounding, as a bit of a go-to trick. Sarah, did you have a question?
Sorry, that was something I was actually going to ask. It's something we haven't gone through yet, and it's something that I'm actually a little bit unsure of. When do we inhale and when do we exhale? On what kind of movement? So you've just answered that question.
Yeah, and I think also the thing is that we sometimes feel like we need to cue every single breath. I don't know how you guys felt. This is just a personal take on mine. How you guys felt when you first started yoga. 95% of the time, I wasn't really cueing what the lecturer, what the teacher was saying. I was just breathing. So I think what you can also facilitate in them is to encourage them to breathe. All right. So for a nice way to practice it is everyone almost starts in an all fours position. So inhaling into cow, exhale, cat. Inhale, leg back, exhale, round, knee to nose. But you can just say leg goes back, exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, leg back, knee to nose. So do you see, you don't always have the same combination of this inhale every single time, all the time.
You said inhale is lengthening and exhale is when you're contracting as such.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But then for those that are doing your crow sequence, you guys will start, you'll go inhale into a Navasana, exhale round into a cat pose. But it's something that does become a lot more natural. You will always see, I can't even say always, but most of the time you will, let me rather say it like this. I inhale, right leg goes up. Exhale, knee comes to the nose. Inhale, lengthen, leg up. Exhale, step between the hands. Okay, so I've ended on the exhale. Inhale, arms will come up. All right, I might stay for my inhale. Exhale into a warrior two. All right, inhale, reverse warrior. exhale, hands down onto the mat. So in a way, there's certain rules of it, but it's also about flowing with the class. If you're somewhat unsure about the breath, give it a go. Practice your class, notice it when you listen back to say, oh, that actually found a bit funny for me. If I pick up a major thing, I will inform you in the first class and let you know for the second video. It happens quite a bit just where you mix it up a bit. And if you're so super unsure, you don't have to cue it that exact time. But giving them points where you can actually just let them breathe, remind them to breathe, that's a good thing. Okay. Yeah, so those are kind of the things that I want to see in the classes. So when you do your first video, to just notice how it feels for you, and what you think you can work on. And I guarantee you now, everyone improves by like 90% on the second video. All right, so it's amazing. It's actually just practice. So even when you do your I want to say now, your second video, let me just say this, you teach the same sequence, you can teach the same person again. You might just have to tweak one or two things that I said kind of needs to be altered or changed or just kind of spiced up a bit. All right, Dasha, yeah.
I want to make sure what the teaching, so we do the first part, we teach, we demonstrate with the student, or we exercise it by ourselves, and then we guide the students from where it says teaching starts here. So the first part we demonstrate, or we just talk through?
The first part, you don't even do it all. You just don't do it. So
okay.
What's really nice about this is Laura and Catherine have essentially given you 3 sequences that you can now have in your little handbook, right? So this is actually the reason why you've got the whole sequence, is to also put it in context of where this part of the class lies in the scope of the whole class. So where it says start teaching here, that's your first cue, and you're not demoing. Did that make sense?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. So where it says end here, it'll end quite abruptly. It'll be like, okay, cool, crow pose. Okay, stand at the top of your mat, and then your video will end. You won't end with Shavasana, because we want to see you teaching of sorts. So it's only that part. The one thing that I have found people get confused with is they say, do I have to teach the beginners or the intermediate? No, you must teach both, because it's showing you progressions. It's showing you this is the beginner's option. Now I'm adding on, and I'm progressively sequencing it to the next intermediate section. All right, so you'll just carry on until it's done.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any questions thus far? Are we all feeling happy? Are we feeling like we can navigate this a bit? Or are we feeling... I'm just gonna move because my fiance is making dinner and he's making a noise, so don't mind me. Okay, let's go in here. Okay, this will be a lot quieter. All right, so yes, Sarah.
Sorry, Tara, when you say the beginners and intermediate, I see an advanced section. Is that the section you mean?
Sorry, yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
One of the other sections is intermediate.
Teaching finishes here, option to add advanced. You want us to do the advanced bit as well?
No. If it says teaching finished, you don't do anything more. You finish there.
Okay.
I think some of the sequences have different wording, but essentially...
Yeah, I'm doing the crow, and it just says teaching finishes here, option to add advanced section. So I guess that's what we want.
Yeah, that's more for your own reference. Like keep that at home,
okay.
Keep your separate section, because if you want to use the sequence later on when you guys start teaching, you might want to know how to take it a step up. All right, so you'll just teach between those sections, and that's what will make it the 30 or 35 minutes that you need. Cool.
One more.
Yes.
Do we do the left side as well, or do we just demonstrate one side?
So remember, we're not demoing, you're going to teach both sides. So yeah. No, that's fine. I just need to make sure. So yes, so you'll see it has a little paragraph, and then it says repeat all on the left side. You'll go back to the start of that paragraph, and you'll do it on the left. Generally, you'll
Okay.
end in a down dog and then you'll start on a 3-legged down dog, or you'll end on a chair pose and then start. So it will flow over. And so I do want to see it on both sides. It's also going to help your students so they don't leave your practical feeling a bit lopsided. Okay, so that's pretty clear on the video. Obviously, if any questions come up, you can ask me, but they shouldn't. I think one of the things also is just trust your gut that what you're doing is right, because most of the time when students ask me something, you guys are right. Actually, it's more just like, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, and chances are yes. When you watch for those who haven't watched Catherine's videos, when you do watch them, you're going to see it's quite helpful. She's also going to give a lot of examples of things that's happened to her when she's teaching, and things that she's noticed that teachers do, which we kind of want to keep in the back of our mind so that we can be aware of it when we're teaching. It's also going to be different when you have one person in the class or 3 persons, or whether you have 1 beginner or 3 advanced students. Whatever you are dealt with regards to the students that show up on your mat, just teach that. I know that this is being recorded. I know that you're behind a screen. I know it's not everyone's comfort zones. And I know you might have someone who has never done yoga before. So I'm considering that, and I'm taking that all into account. When we're in the studio, you guys all teach each other, and because you're all teachers, you know what to do. So the teacher just teaches, and everyone just perfectly flows into the next pose because they know what's coming. So this is actually, in a way, a little bit more of a challenge for you, which I think builds a bit more resilience as teachers. Cool.
One more question.
No, don't apologize. You can keep them coming.
Last one, promise. Can we do also like an online student? I know you said that you would like us to be in the picture, but if it's not possible to be physically with somebody, can we record a Zoom meeting with a student?
I've never had it before, so I'm not sure. I'll probably have to just run it by Catherine and see what she thinks. The reason that I'm doubtful is because I just told you guys, and I know that I needed to like stop and come to the screen and check like this. And so for you as a teacher, it's actually putting a little bit more stress on you because you can't see every angle of the student and you can't do it. Are you worried that it might be a bit tricky for you to get some time with someone?
No, actually not, but I've got friends that wanted to take part that I can't get together with, but I don't have a problem to get somebody in person. That's not a problem.
If your friends want to do it, it's a good way to practice on them so that your poor friend that does have the video, you don't have to teach them like 85 times. You know, practice your sequence with your friends, get used to standing, not demoing, using your words. And if, you know, sometimes what happens is we use a cue and then we go, oh, they're not getting it. And then we demo. And then you say, okay, what other cue can I give that might help them a bit more? What are they doing wrong? What can I cue? And that's going to be a nice way to practice. So, I mean, if you could, is there anyone that's concerned that they might not be able to get a student at all? Candace, where are you based again? Are you thinking just time-wise?
Time-wise, I'm a little bit worried. But also, I don't know who I would be able to teach that isn't somebody that like has never done yoga ever in their lives. And I'm not sure I'm up for that kind of challenge right up in the beginning.
Give it some thought for those who are, I think, Sakila, you also put your hand up that you were worried.
Look, it's fine, but it'll definitely be somebody who's never, ever, ever done yoga. But it's okay. I'll just, I'll do it with them.
Look, I almost want to say, give it a shot.
No, I will.
But
Okay,
and to both of you, the reason being is because I'm not here to judge how perfect of a teacher you are. I want to see that you can like swim, you know, like dive into the deep end and swim with it. So if that means that your class is slower and you have more cues and you're using the odd demonstration here and there, if you see them confused, that I can justify that, right? So that being said, we're not putting in a situation if it's impossible, you know, even if you do a little trial with them and you see it doesn't work and you feel as though it's not doing you justice as a teacher because you can't get through the flow without demoing everything, then, you know, then just send me a message and just give me a heads up. All right. Super understanding about that. So that's my.
Okay.
Should we get him to? I can't.
2-year-old, because that seems like the most likely option for me right now.
Sweet.
But yeah, so I'm fully taking that into account. Like Candace, if it just doesn't work and it doesn't flow with you, I mean, the thing is that as an alternative, I'm going to show you guys now because I'm just in my room now. So as an alternative, if you didn't have someone to teach, this is what it would look like. Okay, come to stand at the top of your mat into your mountain pose. On your next inhale, extending your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step to the back of your mat. So it's going to look like this. What makes it really hard is that firstly, you don't know how long it takes the student to get into that cue. So often timing is a little bit funny. And also memorizing the sequence is harder because now you don't have a visual cue of where you are, you're relying on memory. So it's easier to have a person, but that's also why I know if there's not a person there, you'll probably be able to carry over the skills. So let's try. If it doesn't work, message me. It'll be okay. Sweet. Did you want to say something else, Candace? No. Okay. Dash, is your hand still up or is it a new question? No question. Okay. How are the rest of us feeling? The reason why we do this chat is because it's not supposed to be something that provokes anxiety. This is supposed to create a bit more clarity. And remember, you'll do your first video and there's a second one. All right. Let me just say this. Let's say, for example, I'll come to you now, Julie. Let's say you do your second video and there's still not a couple of things that we're happy with. Then, and it might just be like, oh, there's just this one thing that, you pick up a new habit sometimes in your second video that you didn't have in your first video. It's going to happen throughout your teaching career. I might ask you to reflect again on your second video. I might ask for a shorter third video. I might do a live with you on Zoom. But the only reason is because each teacher kind of moves on their own pace. We learn at different times. We grasp concepts. Some will need a bit more time with the teaching skills. Some will need a bit more time with the anatomy. That's kind of just how it works, right? So however many times we need to do it, we'll get there, all right? The same thing as when you leave here and you do your classes after a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 years, you're still going to be learning as much then as you are now. Julie, what did you want to ask?
Yeah, not a question, I guess, more just like a comment. I don't know if I speak for anybody else or just for myself, but I guess I feel like mild panic because we don't have this weekend or next, obviously. So it's literally 5 days to learn your sequence, find a person, get a time when they're free, and then make it happen. And having just learned tonight the details and stuff, I guess that's what makes me feel a little bit stressed. But I know that I guess we'll make it work.
Yeah, so yes to all of the above. That's why doing it, and it's the online training part-time for those that are working in the week. It's it's not easy, and I get that. I 100% understand that. So I think also making it till the end of because your pose reviews are slots. You get different slots, all right? So remember, you'll have one slot and you do have the rest of the Sunday to work on it as a last resort. If you don't have time in the week, that's okay. If it comes to me on the deadline on Saturday night or Sunday night, that's fine. That does also put you guys at a bit of ease. But I do know that sometimes it feels quite daunting because we feel like we want to send a video that is of a certain standard. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure it's perfect. And that's why we do 2 rounds, is because the first one won't be perfect, of course. So if you are at the last minute, you can't get a person, it's not working, record yourself knowing the sequence. And let me also just say is that these sequences are also tricky in the sense that Laura has really added some spice to them. They're not the easiest of sequences, but the one thing that is really good about it is if you can nail the sequence, you'll remember anything when you go out there. And also, secondly, I lost my train of thought. You guys haven't created these sequences, so you're also teaching what someone else would have created, not what would have instinctively come out of your own thinking pattern in ways that work for you. So let me take you back to someone in our last course. She was teaching the mermaid one, and there's a part where you got to figure 4, and I could see she got confused, and she said eagle, and then she did an eagle pose, and she stepped back and she did eagle on the other side, and I said, oh, I saw you did a different pose there, but she made it work. And I can also commend her for not freezing on the spot and just going with it, because as a teacher, you're also going to have a moment where you forget your sequence. And I have a number of times said, I can't remember what I did on the other side, so I'm just going to go with what I remember, and if I do something wrong, you guys just let me know, because you will forget something. Someone will say, oh, we're not going to do triangle on the other side, and then you do it. All right. So if you do, if you're worried that you don't have your sequence down, then what I want you to do is have your paper like far, not next to you. So you actually need to go and walk to get it, but I don't even want to advocate for that because I don't think you'll need it. But the moment you've got cue cards or your cards, you look at them way too much. So the tips, just the learning tips that I find that can do really well, is to get the sequence into your body. So to get on your mat, to move it in your own self, to notice little patterns of right, left. So for example, those who are doing the moon salutation, get that moon salutation into your body, because it's a little bit tricky. But I promise you, once you've mastered on one side, you'll get it. All right. So that's okay if you miss a pose or you skip it out, that's okay. And then when you do have a moment in your mind to just run through your sequence, even if it just means you're in the shower going inhale. Okay, I'm gonna remember your sequences are broken up into about 3 or 4 parts. You've got the semi-little warm-up, you've got a flow, then 3 sections of flow essentially. And so if your brain works in categorizing them into those little sections and making sense of it that way, it's about finding little tricks that work for you. But if you do have a mild panic and there's anxiety attacks and tears, just send me a WhatsApp. We'll handle it. It's okay. All right. Who, just as a bit of a frame of reference, because it does help, who works full-time, like 9 to 5 in the week? Oh my gosh, a lot of you. What do you guys do? Can I just quickly go around? Let me just quickly, I'm going to do a fire, just tell me what you do. Sakile, oh damn, you're going to have to come all the way to what you do as a full-time?
I'm a personal trainer.
Personal trainer. Oh, you meant just teach yoga to your clients? No big deal.
But it's video right now. I'm doing video.
Yeah, okay. I can tell by the gym. Awesome. Sarah?
I'm a modern and tap dance teacher.
Oh, cool. I used to tap dance. I love it. Where do you teach? I should start tap
in the northern suburbs, like Brackenfell, Durbanville area.
Guys, if you have not tapped before, it's so much fun. I'm gonna come.
My favorite. I love it. There's not enough tap dancing in Cape Town though. Like in the UK, every child tap dance, and here there's not enough. So I'm trying to encourage more tap dancing.
Good on that. Yeah. Jeez. No, I loved it. Nicole?
I've got 2 companies. So it's a professional dance company called Burlesque, and then I'm a teacher as well. I teach a few various styles online at the moment.
Yeah, as you both do. Okay, Dasha?
Yeah.
I'm a photographer.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. I'm just going through this quickly because we've only got 10 minutes left. Anna?
I work in HR in recruiting.
Oh, cool. Okay, nice corporate here as well. Lauren? No, Lauren's on mute. No. Head? No, it doesn't.
Sorry, my turn.
Yes, your turn. Go ahead.
No, I'm a full-time student. After lockdown, obviously, things changed a bit. So I used to be a first aid trainer.
Oh.
So I'm a wilderness MT, and a mountain guide. But now I'm focusing on my nature conservation degree. So full-time student focusing on arachnology and new scorpion species.
Cool. Awesome. Alicia?
Graphic designer.
Amazing. Oh, wait, I knew that. Okay, Julie?
I'm a high school English teacher.
Ah, Ah, okay, that's really full time. But they haven't cut off hours now? Because I heard someone say the other day that they don't have like you don't have extracurriculars, or do you?
We don't, but my matrics are writing exams at the moment, so it's full on.
Yeah, okay, I get that. I understand that the schooling system has been a bit crazy this year as well. Candice?
Hi, I have a social media business, and I have 2 children under 2. And we're moving house at the end of the month, the last week of this course.
You're gonna nail this. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh, good. It's all good.
No, it's no biggie. Okay, Melissa, it's not a problem. Nothing's a problem.
I'm a chemical engineer and I work in like water treatment.
Cool. That's awesome. That's super cool. Marlene?
Okay, well, nothing exciting. So office manager, client liaison kind of vibe at, well, I suppose, yeah, RS Auto. They restore and rebuild Porsches and all sorts of interesting things like that. And then on the side, I do stretch massage therapy.
Cool. That's exciting, man. Don't sell yourself short. That's exciting. Raquel, this is all cool for you.
Yeah, also not very exciting. I'm a manager at an online e-learning company.
Ah, cool. For me, it's just fascinating to see what people do. She?
Manager as well for occupational health and safety.
Ah, that's interesting. You guys there's a group here that you guys can teach us some cool things. Shakira, because it was in there.
I'm a third year microbiology and botany student, and I also tutor maths.
Cool, awesome. Stefan?
Currently, I'm studying psychology online and unemployed.
Oh, awesome. But that's cool. Studying. Nice for those who are studying. That's awesome. Carmel?
I actually unfortunately lost my business due to COVID because I was in the travel industry. So I've been unemployed for a while, so I've been job hunting. So I help out with my dad's businesses in admin, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but we can add yoga teachers soon. So
hopefully.
Hopefully we'll add yoga teachers all around you. Okay, that's awesome. Cool. Just to give me guys, it'll give me context as we go through the teaching as well. So yeah, just to round it up, we got this feedback on the last training as well. It's a lot of work. There's a lot expected of you. And I think Catherine said this in the beginning, the easiest way to navigate it, because we know it's a lot. Like I did my training over 3 months, guys. 3 months, right? You guys are doing it over half the amount of time. But doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that the more you stay on top of it, the better it will be. So the video should not take more than an hour out of your time. So I think just learn to adapt in a way that you find you can fit into your schedule. And yeah, like I said, if something doesn't go right, if it's not working, if you made a mistake, don't re-record, because that's also going to be a waste of your time. I don't mind seeing the flaws. I think flaws are cool. I think it's what makes you a cool yoga teacher as well. So it's also about embracing that. And if there's a major train smash, we'll deal with it. It's not a major thing. It'll be okay. All right. You guys are going to nail this on a positive note. It's going to be awesome. I think just as a highlight to give you guys some insight that the last group of trainers we had, I mean, the trainees that we had, I think we were also about 20 of them. And the first round of videos, I was absolutely blown away. I think that we sometimes don't realize how much we know until you actually teach it. And to think that that first video is going to be your base point, and already from your second video within a week, it's incredible to see how much you improve. So it's happened in the last 3 trainings. I have no doubt it's going to happen for you guys too. So there is a little bit about doing what needs to be done, and we'll work together from it. All right. So it's really a lot of fun when you teach the sequences. I want to see your personality come through in it. So it's not a strict thing. Yoga is supposed to be fun and cool and entertaining, and it doesn't have to be as serious. I guess unless you're a serious person, it can be serious. But yeah, hopefully we're feeling a bit uplifted after this. Do we have any last questions? I'll give you guys 10 minutes because now I feel bad that you're working so hard. 10 minutes and you're actually just going to have dinner and go to sleep. Okay, so just to recap, Catherine didn't send you an email today, right? No, okay, I'm going to send you an email now, which is going to recap everything I want to see in your video, as well as the application to send it through to me. In that email, I haven't gone through all the steps in Handbrake, which was just reduce the quality slightly, web optimized, click, all right? First one, due 11th on Sunday at 5 p.m. I don't want to put it later than that because I don't want you guys to work into the evening. It's not going to be fun. And then I will see you guys next week Friday anyway, right? So if there's anything that needs to be tackled, then we can do it. But we're feeling good. You guys are like 20% into your training, 25%. I've heard great things. I heard your anatomy work is going really well. And if Catherine raves about you, you know that's a damn good sign. So that's awesome. Cool, guys. So that's it from me for today. I'll see you guys next week. If you do want to come back to this, I probably won't upload the class. I'll probably upload the class and this to YouTube, and I'll send you guys the links if you want to come back to it for anything. But everything's in your emails, your manuals, so it's okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. Good luck. Have fun and enjoy.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.